The bus lurched to a stop and Maya felt her stomach drop along with it. Through the dusty window, she could see what would be her home for the next year. Copper Ridge, Wyoming. Population 387 according to the faded sign at the town limits. She'd counted them. All 387 souls living in this tiny dot on the map that most people would drive past without a second glance. Maya grabbed her 2 suitcases from the overhead compartment. Everything she owned that mattered fit into those 2 bags. Her mother had cried when she'd packed them back in Seattle. Why Wyoming? She'd asked for the 100th time. Why not just find another job here? But Maya couldn't explain it properly, not even to herself. After losing her job at the marketing firm, after her engagement fell apart, after watching her carefully planned life crumble like a sandcastle at high tide, she needed distance. She needed something completely different. When she saw the posting for an elementary school teacher in rural Wyoming, something inside her said yes before her brain could list all the reasons to say no. Now, standing on the cracked sidewalk with the September wind whipping her hair into her face, those reasons seemed pretty compelling. The town had one main street. One. She could see the entire thing from where she stood. A small grocery store, a diner with peeling paint, a post office, a gas station, and what looked like a bar with a wooden sign that simply read, "Drinks." No clever name, no neon lights. Just drinks. Her apartment was above the old hardware store, accessible by a narrow staircase on the side of the building. The landlord had left the key under the mat, along with a note welcoming her to town. The apartment was clean but sparse. 1 bedroom, a kitchen barely big enough to turn around in, and a living room with windows that looked out over the street. From up here, Copper Ridge looked even smaller. Maya unpacked slowly, trying not to think about her spacious apartment back in Seattle, the one with the view of Elliott Bay. This was her choice. This was her fresh start. The school was a 10-minute walk from her apartment. She'd start teaching on Monday, but the principal had suggested she come by on Friday to meet some of the staff and get familiar with her classroom. Maya spent the rest of the week exploring the town, which took approximately 45 minutes, and preparing lesson plans. Friday morning arrived with clear skies and crisp air. The school building was old but well-maintained, a single-story structure that housed grades kindergarten through 6th. Her classroom was at the end of the hallway, bright with morning sun and decorated with posters from teachers past. She was arranging books on the shelf when she heard boots in the hallway, heavy boots, the kind that belonged to someone who actually worked in them. A man appeared in her doorway, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a jacket that had seen better days and a hat that had seen even worse ones. He removed the hat, revealing dark hair streaked with early gray. His face was weathered, lined in a way that spoke of years spent outdoors. Maya guessed he was in his late 30s, maybe 40. "You the new teacher?" His voice was rough like gravel under tires. "Yes, I'm Maya Chen. Can I help you?" "James Hawkins. People call me Hawk." He stepped into the room but didn't come too close, as if he was used to keeping his distance. "I'm here about my niece, Lily. She's in your class." Maya pulled out her roster. Lily Hawkins. 10 years old? That's her. Hawk shifted his weight, clearly uncomfortable. "Principal asked me to come talk to you before school starts. Said you should know the situation. Please sit." Maya gestured to one of the desks, but Hawk remained standing. "Lily's parents died 2 years back. Car accident on the highway. I took her in. She's been having a rough time at school. Acting out, not doing her work, getting into fights." Maya felt her chest tighten. "I'm so sorry." "That must be incredibly difficult for both of you." Hawk's jaw tightened. "We manage. I'm sure you do. But grief, especially for a child, it takes time. What Lily needs is patience and gentle encouragement. A safe space where she can..." "Stop right there." Hawk's voice cut through her words like a knife. "Let me tell you something about out here. Gentle doesn't work. The land doesn't care if you're patient with it. The cattle don't respond to encouragement, and life sure as hell doesn't give you a safe space to figure things out." Maya felt her face flush. "With respect, we're talking about a child, not cattle. And with respect, you just got here. You don't know Lily, and you don't know how things work in this place." He put his hat back on. "I'm not trying to be rude. I'm trying to be honest. Lily doesn't need someone feeling sorry for her. She needs someone who understands that being tough isn't the same as being broken." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Out here, gentle doesn't last. The wind wears it down. or the cold freezes it, or the drought dries it up. You want to help my niece, teach her to be strong, not soft. Then he was gone, his boots echoing down the empty hallway. Maya stood there, hands clenched at her sides, anger and confusion swirling in her chest. Who did he think he was? She'd spent 4 years studying education, 2 years teaching in Seattle. She knew how to help children process trauma. She knew what she was doing. But a small voice in the back of her mind whispered that maybe, just maybe, she didn't know everything about this place yet. The weekend passed slowly. Maya tried to prepare for her first day, but her conversation with Hawk kept replaying in her mind. She'd never met someone so blunt, so dismissive of everything she believed about teaching and helping children. Monday morning arrived with gray skies and the smell of rain. Her students filed in one by one, shy and curious about their new teacher. She spotted Lily immediately. The girl sat in the back row, arms crossed, dark eyes watchful. She looked like her uncle, same stubborn set to the jaw, same wariness in her gaze. Maya started the day with introductions, trying to create a warm, welcoming atmosphere. Most of the kids responded well, sharing stories about their summer, their families, their pets. When it was Lily's turn, she shrugged. Nothing to share. That's okay, Maya said gently. Maybe later this week. Maybe never, Lily muttered, just loud enough for the class to hear. A few kids giggled. The day continued with small challenges. Lily refused to participate in group activities. She left her math worksheet blank. At recess, Maya watched through the window as Lily sat alone under a tree while the other kids played. Maya's heart ached. She recognized the signs. The walls a hurting child builds to keep the world out. She'd seen it before in Seattle, kids dealing with divorce or loss or trauma. The approach was always the same: patience, consistency, gentle persistence. But Hawk's words echoed in her mind.
Gentle doesn't last. After school,
Maya stayed late, planning lessons and thinking about Lily. She was so absorbed in her work that she didn't notice how dark it had gotten until she looked up and saw night pressing against the windows. The walk home was darker than she expected. Streetlights were few and far between in Copper Ridge. Maya pulled her jacket tighter and walked quickly, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. As she climbed the stairs to her apartment, exhausted and doubting herself, she whispered to the empty night, "Be fierce." She wasn't sure where the words came from or what they meant, but something told her she was going to need to figure it out soon. Because Hawk was right about one thing: this place was different, and maybe being a good teacher here meant learning to be different too. 3 weeks into the school year, Maya was ready to admit she had no idea what she was doing. Everything that had worked in Seattle fell flat here. The reward charts she'd made sat ignored on the wall. The calm-down corner with soft pillows and breathing exercises went unused. Her carefully planned group activities dissolved into chaos because half the kids had to leave early to help with ranch work. And Lily. God, Lily was like trying to hug a cactus. The girl did the bare minimum to get by, spoke only when forced, and spent every recess sitting alone. Maya tried everything. She offered to eat lunch with her. Ignored. She praised her when she completed an assignment, met with a blank stare. She gently asked about her feelings. Lily walked away mid-sentence. On Thursday afternoon, Lily got into a fight with another student over a pencil. Just a pencil. By the time Maya pulled them apart, both girls were crying and Lily had a scratch across her cheek. "Why did you do that?" Maya asked after the other girl had been sent to the principal. Lily shrugged, wiping her face roughly with her sleeve. "She took my stuff. She was just borrowing it. You could have asked for it back." "I did ask." Lily's voice was hard. "She didn't listen. So you hit her?" "So I made her listen." Lily looked at Maya with those dark, challenging eyes. "Uncle Hawk says if someone doesn't respect your boundaries, you enforce them." Maya felt frustration building in her chest. "Your uncle is wrong. Violence isn't the answer. Easy for you to say. You're the teacher. Everyone has to listen to you." Lily stood up. "Can I go now?" Maya wanted to say no, wanted to keep her there until they had a breakthrough, until she could reach whatever hurt was locked inside this angry little girl. But Lily was already at the door and Maya was too tired to fight. "Yes. Go." That evening, Maya drove out to Hawk's ranch. She'd gotten the address from the school records. The road was long and unpaved, her small sedan bouncing over ruts and rocks. By the time she pulled up to the gate, she was questioning Her decision. The ranch was bigger than she'd expected. A large house, a barn, several outbuildings and fences stretching as far as she could see. In the fading light, she could make out cattle grazing in the distance. Hawk emerged from the barn, wiping his hands on his jeans. When he saw her car, his expression went from neutral to annoyed in about 2 seconds. "Miss Chen, something wrong?" Maya got out of her car. "We need to talk about Lily." "She in trouble?" "She got into a fight today. Hit another student." Hawk's jaw tightened, but he didn't look surprised. "The other kid okay?" "Yes, but that's not the point. Lily can't solve her problems with violence." "What was the fight about?" Maya hesitated. "A pencil." "But did the other kid take something that belonged to Lily?" "Well, yes, but did Lily ask for it back first?" "She says she did, but then what's the problem?" Hawk crossed his arms. "Someone takes your property, you ask nicely, they don't give it back, you take it back. That's not violence. That's standing up for yourself." Maya felt her temper flare. She's 10 years old. She needs to learn to manage her emotions, to express herself with words, to what? Let people walk all over her? Hawk stepped closer and Maya had to resist the urge to step back. "You're trying to teach her to be someone she's not. You're trying to smooth out all her rough edges until she's acceptable to you. I'm trying to help her. By making her soft? By teaching her to ignore her instincts?" Hawk shook his head. "You see a kid who's angry and you think she's broken. Maybe she's not broken. Maybe she's just angry and that's okay. Anger is not okay when it leads to violence. And suppressing anger is not okay when it teaches kids to ignore what their gut is telling them." Hawk's voice rose for the first time. Then he stopped, took a breath, and lowered his voice. "Look, I get that you're trying. But you're treating Lily like she's one of your city kids. She's not. She's a ranch kid who lost her parents and had to learn real fast that the world doesn't care about her feelings." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. From frustration or sadness, she wasn't sure. "So what am I supposed to do? Just let her hit people?" "I'm not saying that." Hawk's voice softened slightly. "I'm saying stop trying to fix her like she's a problem. She doesn't need someone feeling sorry for her. She needs someone who sees her as strong, not damaged." He turned to go back to the barn, then paused. "She likes horses. Spends every evening out here with them. Doesn't talk, just brushes them and feeds them. You want to connect with her? Maybe start there instead of with all your feelings charts and breathing exercises." Maya drove home in the dark, her mind racing. Part of her was furious at Hawk's dismissiveness. But another part, a part she didn't want to acknowledge, wondered if he had a point. The next day, Maya tried something different. When Lily sat alone at recess, Maya didn't approach her. When Lily finished her math early and sat staring out the window, Maya didn't push her to do more. When Lily was quiet during group discussion, Maya didn't call on her. She stopped trying so hard. At the end of the day, as students were packing up, Maya said casually, "Lily, can you help me carry some books to my car?" Lily looked suspicious but nodded. They walked to the parking lot in silence, each carrying a stack of outdated textbooks Maya was donating. "Your uncle mentioned you like horses," Maya said, loading the books into her trunk. Lily's expression shifted slightly. Not quite interest, but not quite dismissal either. "So, I've never spent much time around horses. What do you like about them?" Lily was quiet for so long Maya thought she wasn't going to answer. "Then they don't lie. They don't pretend to care when they don't. If they like you, they show it. If they don't, they show that too." Maya nodded slowly. "That sounds honest." "It is." Lily looked at Maya for the first time with something other than hostility. "People lie all the time. They say they want to help, but they really just want you to act how they want you to act." The words hit Maya like a slap. "Is that what you think I'm doing?" Lily shrugged. "Aren't you?" Maya sat on the edge of her car's trunk, suddenly exhausted. "Maybe I was. I don't know anymore." They stood there in the parking lot as other kids got picked up and buses pulled away. Finally, Lily spoke again, her voice quieter. "My mom used to tell me to be nice, to be sweet and quiet and make people comfortable." She kicked at a rock. "But after she died, being nice didn't help. Being quiet didn't help. Uncle Hawk taught me that sometimes you have to be loud. You have to take up space. You have to be fierce." Maya felt something shift in her understanding. "Your mom was wrong about being quiet, but that doesn't mean being fierce has to mean being angry. Uncle Hawk says anger is just proof you care about something. He's right about that." Maya surprised herself by agreeing. But caring about something means protecting it, not just fighting everything that comes near it. Lily considered this. That sounds complicated. It is complicated. Maya smiled slightly. I'm still figuring it out myself. For the first time since school started, Lily's expression softened just a fraction. Not a smile, but not a scowl either. Something in between. I should go, Lily said. Uncle Hawk's picking me up. Okay. Maya closed her trunk. Thanks for helping. Lily walked toward the pickup truck, pulling into the parking lot, then turned back. Miss Chen, you're not as annoying as I thought you'd be. Maya laughed, an actual genuine laugh. Thanks, Lily. You're not as impossible as I thought you'd be. Hawk's truck pulled up and Lily climbed in. Through the windshield, Maya caught Hawk's eye. He gave her a small nod. Not approval exactly, but acknowledgement. Maya drove home feeling lighter than she had in weeks. She hadn't fixed anything. Lily was still angry, still struggling. But maybe Hawk was right. Maybe Lily didn't need to be fixed. Maybe she just needed someone to stop treating her like she was broken. That night, Maya threw away half her lesson plans and started over. Not because her old methods were wrong, but because they were wrong for here, for these kids, for this place. She was learning that being a good teacher meant being flexible, and that sometimes the fiercest thing you could do was admit you didn't have all the answers. October brought cold winds and the first real test of Maya's resolve to stay in Copper Ridge. Lily was doing better. Not great, but better. She participated more in class, finished most of her assignments, and had gone 3 whole weeks without a fight. Maya had learned to read her moods, to know when to push and when to back off. It wasn't the breakthrough she'd imagined back in Seattle, but it was progress. Then came the parent-teacher conferences. Most went smoothly. Parents thanked her for being patient with their kids, for understanding that harvest season meant homework sometimes didn't get done. But when Hawk walked into her classroom on Thursday evening, Maya could tell something was wrong. He looked worse than usual. More tired. His jacket was torn at the shoulder and there was a hollowness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Thanks for coming, Maya said, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. Hawk sat heavily. How's Lily doing? Much better, actually. Her reading has improved and she's been participating more in class discussions. Maya pulled out Lily's folder. She wrote a really beautiful story last week about a wild horse. Want to see it? Hawk took the paper and Maya saw his jaw tighten as he read. When he looked up, there was something raw in his expression. Her mom used to write stories. Lily mentioned that once. She said her mom wrote about animals. Yeah. Hawk set the paper down carefully like it might break. She was going to get them published. Had a whole notebook full of them then. He trailed off. They sat in silence for a moment. Maya had learned that sometimes silence was okay. Sometimes it was better than filling the air with meaningless words. I need to tell you something, Hawk said finally. The ranch is in trouble. Maya waited. Drought hit us hard this summer. Lost most of the grazing land. Had to sell off half the herd just to buy feed for the rest. Bank's been calling. He rubbed his face. I don't know how much longer I can keep it going. I'm sorry. That sounds incredibly stressful. It's more than stress. If I lose the ranch, I lose everything. The house, the land, the life I'm trying to build for Lily. His voice cracked slightly. I've been working 18-hour days trying to save it, and I'm still falling behind. Maya felt her chest tighten. What can I do to help? Hawk laughed, but there was no humor in it. Unless you've got about $50,000 lying around, there's nothing anyone can do. There has to be something. What about the community? Have you asked for help? I don't take charity. It's not charity if people care about you. Hawk stood up abruptly. I came here to talk about Lily's grades, not my problems. Tell me what she needs to work on and I'll make sure she does it. Maya stood too, frustration bubbling up. You know what? No, I'm not going to pretend we were just talking about homework when you're clearly drowning. You spent weeks telling me Lily needed to be fierce, to be strong, to stand up for herself. But what kind of example are you setting if you're too proud to accept help when you need it? That's different. How? How is it different? Maya moved around the desk. You taught Lily that asking for what she needs is strength. But you won't do it yourself? Because I'm supposed to be the strong one. Hawk's voice rose. I'm supposed to take care of her, not the other way around. I'm supposed to have answers, not problems. That's not strength. That's Saint stubbornness. Maya softened her voice. Being strong doesn't mean never needing help. It means being brave enough to admit when you do. Hawk stared at her for a long moment. Then he sank back into the chair, all the fight going out of him. I don't know how to ask. You just did. Over the next week, Maya did something she'd never done before. She organized a community fundraiser. She'd only been in Copper Ridge for 2 months, but she'd learned that people here took care of their own. They just needed someone to coordinate it. She put up flyers at the diner, the grocery store, the post office. She talked to other teachers, to parents, to anyone who would listen. Most people didn't need convincing. They knew Hawk. They knew he'd helped half the town at one point or another, never asking for anything in return. The fundraiser was set for Saturday at the community center. A potluck dinner with a silent auction and live music from a local band. Maya spent every evening that week collecting donations, organizing tables, and trying not to think about whether anyone would actually show up. Hawk, predictably, was furious when he found out. He showed up at Maya's apartment on Friday night, and she knew from his expression that she was in trouble. What the hell do you think you're doing? He stood in her doorway, practically vibrating with anger. Helping. Like you should have let people do months ago. I told you I don't want charity, and I told you it's not charity. Maya crossed her arms. But if you want to watch everything you've built for Lily fall apart because you're too stubborn to accept that people care about you, that's your choice. You had no right. I had every right. Lily is my student, and if you lose that ranch, you know what happens to her. She gets uprooted again. She loses another home, another sense of stability. She's finally starting to feel safe, and you're going to let your pride destroy that? Hawk's face went pale. That's not fair. No, it's not fair. None of this is fair. It's not fair that your sister died. It's not fair that you had to give up your life to raise a kid you weren't prepared for. It's not fair that a drought is destroying everything you've worked for. Maya's voice shook. But you know what else isn't fair? Refusing to let people who love you help carry the weight. They don't love me. They barely know me. Then maybe you should let them know you. Maya moved closer. You taught me that being fierce means protecting what matters. Well, guess what? You matter. Lily matters. This ranch matters. And I'm going to be fierce about protecting it whether you like it or not. Hawk stood there, something working in his jaw. Finally, he said quietly, Why do you care so much? Because someone has to. And because Lily needs you to be around for a long time, which won't happen if you work yourself to death out of sheer stubbornness. They stared at each other. Then impossibly, Hawk's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. You're meaner than you look, city girl. I learned from the best. Saturday arrived with clear skies and surprisingly warm weather. Maya got to the community center early, her stomach in knots. What if nobody came? What if this whole thing was a disaster? But by 5 o'clock, the place was packed. Families brought casseroles and pies. The auction table was full of donated items ranging from hand-knitted blankets to offers of free labor. Someone had even donated a weekend stay at a cabin in the mountains. Hawk arrived with Lily, both looking uncomfortable in their nice clothes. Lily spotted Maya and ran over. Miss Chen, there's so many people here. I know. Pretty amazing, right? Uncle Hawk said we weren't going to come. But I told him if he didn't, I'd never forgive him. Lily grinned. I can be pretty fierce when I want to be, Maya laughed. Yes, you can. She watched Hawk move through the crowd, accepting handshakes and pats on the back. His face a mixture of embarrassment and something that might have been gratitude. People told stories about times he'd helped them. Fixed a fence, pulled a car out of a ditch, stayed up all night helping with a difficult calving. The town knew him better than he thought. By the end of the night, they'd raised almost $40,000. Not enough to solve everything, but enough to buy time, enough to buy hope. As people were cleaning up, Hawk found Maya in the kitchen washing dishes. Thank you. His voice was rough. I mean it. You're welcome. Maya handed him a dish towel. You can dry? They worked in comfortable silence for a while. Then Hawk said, You were right. About accepting help. About admitting when you need people. He paused. Guess I'm still learning how to do this whole thing. We both are, Maya said. I'm learning that being tough doesn't mean being cold. You're learning that being vulnerable doesn't mean being weak. When did you get so wise? When I met a stubborn rancher who taught me that fierce and gentle aren't opposites. She smiled. They're partners. Hawk looked at her, really looked at her, and Maya felt something shift between them, something that had been building for weeks without either of them acknowledging it. Partners, he repeated softly. I like the sound of that. Outside, Lily was playing with other kids, her laugh carrying through the open door. For the first time since her parents died, She looked like a child instead of someone carrying the weight of the world. And Maya realized that somewhere along the way, Copper Ridge had stopped being a temporary escape. It had become home. November came with the first snow and a knock on Hawk's door that changed everything. Maya was there when it happened. She'd started coming to the ranch on weekends, helping Lily with homework and staying for dinner. It had become routine, comfortable, normal. Hawk was in the kitchen making coffee when the knock came. Through the window, Maya could see an expensive car in the driveway. Not the kind of vehicle that belonged in Copper Ridge. Hawk opened the door to a woman in her 50s, well-dressed, with perfectly styled blonde hair and an expression that was equal parts grief and determination. "Hello, James." Her voice was cold. "Patricia." Hawk's entire body went rigid. "What are you doing here?" "I came to see my granddaughter." Maya felt her stomach drop. Lily's grandmother. She'd heard Hawk mention her once, briefly, saying she lived in California and hadn't visited since the funeral. "Lily's doing homework," Hawk said, not moving from the doorway. "Then I'll wait." Patricia's eyes moved past him to Maya. "And you are?" "Maya Chen, I'm Lily's teacher." "How convenient. Then you can provide a professional assessment of my granddaughter's living conditions." Patricia pushed past Hawk into the house, looking around with barely concealed disdain. "I've been reviewing the situation and I've concluded that Lily would be better off in California with me." Lily appeared from her room, her face draining of color when she saw her grandmother. "Grandma Patricia?" "Hello, darling." "My goodness, you've gotten so tall." Patricia moved toward her, but Lily stepped back. "What are you doing here?" "I've come to take you home with me. You'll love San Diego. Good schools, the beach, proper opportunities." Patricia smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You deserve better than this. This is my home." Lily's voice was small but firm. "This is a failing ranch in the middle of nowhere. Your uncle can barely keep the lights on." Patricia pulled papers from her purse. "I've already spoken with a lawyer. I'm filing for custody." The room went silent. Maya watched Hawk's face, saw him trying to control the panic rising behind his eyes. "You can't do that," he said finally. "I can, and I am. I'm Lily's grandmother, I have financial stability, and I can provide her with the life her mother would have wanted." Patricia's voice softened slightly when she looked at Lily. "Your mother was my daughter. She grew up with every advantage, every opportunity. That's what I want for you." "Mom chose to live here," Lily said, her voice stronger now. "She chose Dad and this place. She was happy. She was young and didn't know better, but you deserve more." Patricia turned to Hawk. "You're a good man, James. But raising a child requires more than good intentions. It requires resources, education, stability, things you can't provide. I provide everything she needs, do you?" Patricia gestured around the modest house. "Can you afford a tutor when she struggles in school? Therapy to deal with her trauma? College when she's older? I can give her all of that." Maya saw Hawk flinch. Every word was a direct hit to his deepest fears. "Money isn't everything," Maya said quietly. Patricia looked at her with surprise, as if she'd forgotten Maya was there. "No, but it certainly helps. Tell me, Miss Chen, as her teacher, do you believe this is the best environment for a child who's already dealing with significant loss?" It was a trap, and Maya knew it. Anything she said could be used in court. "I believe," Maya said carefully, "that Lily is thriving under her uncle's care. She's made tremendous academic and emotional progress since the beginning of the school year." "Under your care, you mean? What happens when you leave?" "And you will leave. Young teachers like you always do. You'll spend a year or two in a place like this, then return to civilization, and Lily will lose another person she's come to depend on." The words hit harder than Maya expected because there was truth in them. She'd come to Copper Ridge as a temporary escape. She'd never promised to stay forever. "I'm not leaving," Maya said, surprising herself with the certainty in her voice. Patricia smiled coldly. "We'll see. The custody hearing is scheduled for December 15th. I suggest you prepare yourself, James, because I intend to fight for my granddaughter." After she left, the house felt like a bomb had gone off. Lily ran to her room and slammed the door. Hawk stood motionless in the middle of the living room, his face pale. "She can't take Lily away," Maya said. "Can she?" "I don't know." Hawk's voice was barely above a whisper. "I'm not her parent. I'm just her uncle. And Patricia's right about one thing. I can barely afford to keep this place running, let alone pay for lawyers. Then we'll figure it out. There is no we, Maya. Hawk turned to her and his expression broke her heart. You heard what she said. You're going to leave. Everyone leaves eventually. I told her I'm not leaving. You don't know that. You've been here 4 months. Wait until you've been through a full winter. Wait until the isolation really sets in. Wait until you miss coffee shops and bookstores and all the things you gave up to come here. He shook his head. I can't blame you for that. But I also can't let Lily get attached to someone else who's going to disappear. I'm not disappearing. You already are. Hawk grabbed his jacket. I need to think. I'm going to check on the cattle. He left Maya standing alone in the quiet house. She wanted to follow him, to shake him, to make him understand. But maybe he was right. Maybe she was being naive. She'd made this big declaration about not leaving. But what did she really know about staying? About commitment to a place and people that hadn't been part of her plan? She knocked on Lily's door softly. Can I come in? I guess. Lily was sitting on her bed, hugging a pillow. Her eyes were red. I'm not going to California, she said fiercely. I don't care what Grandma Patricia says. Maya sat beside her. What she said about me leaving, that bothered you. You are going to leave. Everyone does. Lily's voice cracked. My parents left. Not on purpose, but they still left. And now you'll leave, and Uncle Hawk will leave, and I'll end up in California with someone who doesn't even know me. Your uncle isn't going anywhere. Grandma Patricia's rich. She has lawyers. Uncle Hawk barely has money for feed. Lily wiped her eyes angrily. I know how this works. Adults say things will be okay, but they don't get to decide. Judges decide. And judges care about money and big houses and good schools. Maya felt helpless. Because Lily wasn't wrong. The system often favored stability. And on paper, Patricia could provide more of it. I can't promise you everything will work out the way we want, Maya said slowly. But I can promise that your uncle will fight for you. And I'll be here to help him. Until you leave. I'm not leaving, Lily. You keep saying that. But you don't know. You can't know. Lily looked at her with eyes far too old for her age. My mom used to say that people mean well, but meaning well isn't the same as staying. Maya had no answer for that. So she just sat there letting Lily cry, offering the only thing she could. Her presence. For now, that had to be enough. Over the next few weeks, Hawk withdrew. He was polite but distant, building walls Maya couldn't break through. He worked longer hours, came home exhausted, and barely spoke during dinner. Maya tried to help. She researched custody laws, talked to a lawyer friend back in Seattle, and gathered documentation of Lily's progress in school. But every time she brought it up, Hawk shut down. I appreciate what you're doing, he said one evening, but this isn't your fight. It is my fight. Lily is my student. And she trailed off, unsure how to finish that sentence. I'm what? You matter to me. Both of you do. Hawk looked at her for a long moment. That's the problem, Maya. You care, and that's good. But caring doesn't survive reality, and the reality is that Patricia's right. I can barely take care of myself, let alone a kid. Maybe Lily would be better off with someone who has their life together. Don't you dare give up on her. I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. No, you're being scared. And that's okay. But don't pretend you're doing this for Lily when you're really just protecting yourself from getting hurt if you lose. The words hung between them, harsh and true. Hawk's jaw tightened, and for a moment Maya thought he might yell. Instead, he grabbed his coat. I need to be alone. He walked out into the dark, and Maya didn't follow. She was learning that sometimes the fiercest thing you could do was give someone space to find their own strength. But as December approached and the custody hearing loomed, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that everything she'd found in Copper Ridge was about to fall apart. And for the first time since arriving, she wasn't sure fierce would be enough to hold it together. The courthouse in the county seat was 3 hours away. Maya drove there with Hawk and Lily on a gray December morning. The silence in the truck heavy enough to suffocate. Lily sat between them. Wearing her nicest dress and clutching a folder Maya had helped her prepare. Inside were drawings, stories she'd written, photographs of the ranch, evidence of a life she didn't want to leave. Hawk looked like he hadn't slept in days, probably because he hadn't. Maya had seen his truck at the ranch at all hours, seen the lights on in the barn long past midnight. He was working himself to exhaustion, and she suspected it was the only way he knew to cope with the fear of losing Lily. Patricia was already there when they arrived. dressed in an expensive suit with her lawyer beside her. She smiled at Lily, but it was the kind of smile that didn't reach the eyes, the kind that said, "I know what's best for you better than you do." The hearing started with Patricia's lawyer painting a picture of instability. A single man with no parenting experience, a failing ranch, limited resources. He talked about Hawk like he was negligent, like loving Lily wasn't enough to make him a good guardian. Then it was their turn. Hawk's lawyer was local, a woman named Ruth who'd taken the case at a reduced rate because she'd grown up in Copper Ridge. She was good, but she wasn't flashy. She didn't have Patricia's resources. Ruth called Maya to the stand first. "Miss Chen, you're Lily's teacher. Can you describe her academic performance?" Maya took a breath and looked at Lily, who was sitting in the front row beside Hawk. When Lily started school in September, she was struggling. She wasn't completing assignments, wasn't participating, and was having behavioral issues. Patricia's lawyer smiled, making a note. "But over the past 3 months," Maya continued, "I've watched her transform. She's now one of my top students in reading. She's participating in class discussions. She's helping other students. And the behavioral issues have almost completely disappeared." "What do you attribute this change to?" "To her uncle's support. To the stability he's provided. To the fact that he shows up for her every single day, even when it's hard." "Especially when it's hard," Ruth nodded. "In your professional opinion, is Lily thriving in her current environment?" "Yes, absolutely." Patricia's lawyer stood to cross-examine. "Miss Chen, how long have you been teaching?" 2 years in Seattle, and this is my first year in Copper Ridge. So, relatively inexperienced. "And this is your first time teaching in a rural school?" "Yes, and you've only known Lily for 3 months. Isn't it possible that what you're seeing is simply a child adapting to a new teacher, not evidence of long-term stability?" Maya felt her frustration rise. "I've seen hundreds of students adapt to new teachers. This is different. Lily isn't just adapting. She's growing. She's healing. That's very touching. But can you honestly say that Lily wouldn't heal just as well, if not better, in a home with more resources, better schools? Professional therapy? Resources don't replace love. No one is suggesting they do. But love combined with resources is surely better than love with poverty, isn't it?" Ruth objected, and the judge sustained it, but the damage was done. Patricia's lawyer had made his point. Next, they called Hawk to the stand. Maya watched him walk up, his shoulders tense, his hands clenched. He looked terrified, and her heart ached for him. Ruth asked him about his relationship with Lily, about their daily life, about the progress he'd seen. Hawk answered honestly, his voice rough but steady. He talked about teaching Lily to ride horses, about homework at the kitchen table, about the way she'd slowly started smiling again. "Mr. Hawkins, Patricia has suggested that you lack the financial means to provide adequately for Lily. How do you respond to that?" Hawk was quiet for a moment. "She's right that I'm not rich. The ranch has been struggling, and there have been months I wasn't sure how we'd make it. But we always have. And Lily has never gone without food or warmth or anything she actually needs. What about therapy? College savings? The things Patricia mentioned? I'm working on those things. The community helped us get back on our feet. I've started putting money aside. And as for therapy, Maya's been helping Lily process her grief. Not professionally, but honestly. Sometimes that matters more." Patricia's lawyer stood. "Mr. Hawkins, you said the community had to help you financially. Doesn't that suggest you can't provide for a child on your own? It suggests I was going through a hard time and accepted help when it was offered. A hard time that could happen again. Another drought, another bad season. Can you guarantee Lily's stability?" "No one can guarantee anything. But surely someone with financial security can guarantee more than someone without it." Hawk's jaw tightened. "Money doesn't make a parent. Being there does. And I've been there for Lily every single day since her parents died." "Where was Patricia?" The lawyer smiled coldly. "Mrs. Torres was grieving her daughter." "Surely you can Oh, years. I took Lily the day after the funeral." The courtroom went silent. Then Ruth called Lily to the stand. The judge hesitated. "She's only 10 years old. She's the one whose future is being decided," Ruth said. "She deserves to be heard." The judge nodded, and Lily walked to the stand. She looked small in the big chair, but when she spoke, her voice was clear. "Lily, can you tell us where you want to live?" Ruth asked gently. "With Uncle Hawk at the ranch? Why?" Lily looked at her grandmother and Maya saw something like sadness in her eyes. Grandma Patricia has a nice house and lots of money. But she doesn't know me. She doesn't know that I like to feed the horses in the morning, or that I'm scared of thunderstorms, or that I sleep with the light on because I have nightmares about the accident. Patricia's expression flickered. Uncle Hawk knows all that stuff. He knows that when I get mad I need space, not someone telling me to calm down. He knows I like grilled cheese cut diagonal, not straight across. He knows my mom's favorite song, and sometimes he plays it when he thinks I'm not listening. Lily's voice cracked. He knows me. And he loves me even when I'm not easy to love. What about Miss Chen? Ruth asked. She's important to you too, isn't she? Lily nodded. She's the first teacher who didn't try to make me someone I'm not. She taught me that being fierce doesn't mean being mean. It means protecting the people you love, Ruth smiled. Thank you, Lily, Patricia's lawyer approached. Lily, your grandmother loves you very much. She can offer you opportunities your uncle can't. Don't you want those things? I want my family, Lily said simply. That's Uncle Hawk and Miss Chen, and the people in Copper Ridge who showed up when we needed them. That's what matters. The judge called a recess. They sat in the hallway, no one speaking. Maya held Lily's hand. Hawk stared at the floor. When they returned, the judge looked tired. I've reviewed the evidence and heard the testimony. This is a difficult case because both parties clearly care about Lily's welfare. She looked at Patricia. Mrs. Torres, I don't question your love for your granddaughter or your ability to provide material comforts, but love isn't just about what you can buy. It's about showing up day after day, especially when it's hard. She turned to Hawk. Mr. Hawkins, you've demonstrated consistent care and commitment to Lily. While your financial situation isn't ideal, it's also not inadequate. With the support of your community, you've created a stable home. Maya felt her heart pounding. Most importantly, the judge continued, Lily has made her wishes clear. At 10 years old, she's old enough to have a voice in this decision. She wants to stay with her uncle, in the home and community she's come to know. I see no compelling reason to remove her from that environment. The gavel came down. Custody remains with James Hawkins. Lily burst into tears. Hawk pulled her into his arms, his own eyes wet. Maya felt relief wash over her so powerfully she had to sit down. Patricia left without a word, her face unreadable. Outside, the sun had broken through the clouds. They stood in the parking lot, none of them quite believing it was over. Thank you, Hawk said to Maya, for everything, for not giving up on us. I meant what I said in there. You're my family now, too. Maya smiled. Besides, someone has to keep you from being too stubborn. And someone has to keep you from being too soft, Hawk replied. But there was warmth in his voice. Lily grabbed both their hands. Can we go home now? Yeah, Hawk said, looking at Maya. Let's go home. The drive back to Copper Ridge felt different, lighter, like they'd all been holding their breath for months and could finally exhale. 3 months later, as winter gave way to spring, Maya stood in the ranch kitchen making coffee while Hawk cooked breakfast and Lily did homework at the table. It had become their Sunday routine. Miss Chen, Lily said, not looking up from her math, are you going to marry Uncle Hawk? Maya nearly dropped her mug. Hawk turned from the stove, his face red. Lily, he said, what? You look at each other all weird. And you're here every weekend. And you smile more now, Lily shrugged. I'm just saying if you did get married, I wouldn't mind. Maya and Hawk looked at each other across the kitchen. Neither of them had said the words yet, but they both knew. They'd found something neither of them had been looking for. We'll see, Maya said, smiling. That's adult for probably, Lily told her uncle. Hawk laughed, and the sound filled the whole house. Outside, the Wyoming wind howled, but inside it was warm. Inside was home. Maya had learned what it meant to be fierce. Not harsh, not cold, but brave enough to fight for what mattered. Brave enough to stay when leaving would be easier. Brave enough to love even when love meant risk. And Hawk had learned that gentle didn't mean weak. It meant being strong enough to be soft, strong enough to accept help, strong enough to let someone in. They'd both learned that strength came in many forms, and the strongest thing of all was choosing to show up, day after day, for the people who needed you. Even in the West, especially in the West, that kind of gentle could last forever.